The night still sits in my chest like a stone. I remember the laugh in that big room, the clink of glasses, William standing in the middle with a silver cake and a grin that did not reach his eyes. I remember my hand on a fork and the sudden cold when I saw the screen on his phone, just for a second, a tiny app name flashing, Polygamy Countdown. I swallowed the cold and smiled. I would later learn how brave that smile was. For now, it was only the start of the story. My name is Jessy. I am the one who would find out. But that was later. I want you to feel how it began. The promise, the small bright lies, the way 4 women believed a single man was their whole future. Williams had a way of talking that turned words into small gifts. He spoke slowly, looked like he meant every line he said, and he owned a little leather shop near Victoria Island. He was 35, clean-cut, always had a new cologne on his collar. People liked him. Women liked him more. He called me one evening and said, "Jessy, I want to marry you." I laughed. "You barely know me." He did not laugh. "I know enough. I want to marry you. I will promise it now, but first I have a test. It will show who is ready." I said what girls say when a man sounds too sure. "What kind of test?" "You will see," he said. "It will be simple. I only want to be sure." He put the promise in velvet words and wrapped it in patience. He told each woman the same line, a serious voice, the same little calm smile. To Edith, he said, "Edith, marry me. Be my wife." To Ella, he said, "Ella, I will make you my only one." To Lucy, he said, "Lucy, I promise you forever." To me, he said, "Jessy, you are the one I will build with." We believed him because he said the word promise. Promises have weight. Promises have a way of making people small inside, hopeful and bold at the same time. I want you to meet them because you will need to understand how real they were, how real we all were, to feel the badness of what came later. Edith, the funny one. Edith laughs like a door opening, loud and unexpected. She teaches literature at a private college. She likes old poems and strong coffee. When Williams first spoke to her at a book sale, she teased him about his shirt. He put his hand over his heart and said, "I like your laugh." She blushed. Ella, the quiet one. Ella works in a bank. She is careful with money and with people. She wears neat suits and keeps sticky notes on the mirror. She met Williams at a charity event. He helped her down a step and wiped mud off her shoe. She let him. He looked at her hand and said, "You are different." Weeks later, over plain jollof at a stall, Williams told Ella, "I will marry you, Ella. I will take care of you." She blinked, surprised as though she had waited for a sign. "How do you know?" she asked. He smiled like he had been waiting to be asked. Lucy, the tender one. Lucy runs a small charity for children. She smells of soap and oranges. She cries easily when she hears touching stories. Williams met her at a fundraiser when he donated a small bag of shoes. He stayed after the event to wash plates and talk about her work. "Lucy," he said once, holding a paper cup of tea between both hands, "I will marry you. I want your patience and your kindness in my home." Lucy looked at him with eyes that already had plans for children and Sundays. She nodded like she had known him for years. And me, Jessy. I am not a teacher, not a banker, not running a charity. I sell beads and small things at a market, and I help my sister with her little flat. I met Williams when my foot slid on the wet stone by the stall, and he steadied me with his hand. He laughed a little and said, "Careful." Then he took my hand and did not let go for a long time, as if we had both found something safe. "Jessy," he said under the small market sun, "I will marry you." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, cheap ring and pushed it on my finger. "It's small now. I will make it gold." I remember I felt like a spoonful of warm soup. I said yes with my voice and with my head. I said yes because the promise felt like a map. I wanted to believe. We all had our own reasons to believe. Edith wanted a steady home that smelled of books and tea. Ella wanted someone who would not rush her. Lucy wanted a partner who would stand by her charity and not laugh at her dreams. I wanted safety and a man who listened. Often, Williams would say the same thing, quietly, like a prayer he read from memory. "I will marry you. I will make it right. I'll give you a test, and when you pass, you will be mine." We did not know what the test would be. We only knew the promise came first. Sometimes we met by chance in his shop. Sometimes we met at different places, and sometimes we saw him with another woman and told ourselves small lies. We are different, we said. He is careful with me. His charm would pull us back. He was gentle with each of us. He learned our coffee orders. He remembered our birthdays. He made us feel seen. Why don't you come to my birthday? He asked me once. It will be small. My family, some friends. His eyes were sharp with the plan of a man who likes being loved by many. I agreed, and so did the others, because we all trusted the map Williams drew in front of us. Lines of future houses, the smell of wedding rice, the soft light of a life he promised. There were small signs, silly things. 2 pairs of shoes at his door when he said he lived alone, messages that came in at odd hours, a laugh a stranger told me he heard from Williams when he was with the boys. But they never stacked up enough to topple him. He had a quick way of closing holes with charm. That is how it began. Promise, smiles, small lies that felt like truth because we wanted them to be true. I will tell you what happens next. I will tell you how I found out. For now, remember our faces. Edith with her loud laugh, Ella with neat sticky notes, Lucy with her orange-scented hands, and me, Jessy, holding a small ring that glinted like a secret. We all believed him. We all waited. The tests came like small storms, soft at first, then full of rain. Williams never told us the whole plan. He gave pieces of it, one by one, as if handing out coins. Each coin looked small. Each coin asked us to pay something big. He said the tests would show who was ready. He said they were about patience, about sacrifice, about proving you could put him first. He made each test fit the woman he was speaking to, like a tailor making clothes. We took the clothes because we wanted to belong in them. Jessy, he told me one afternoon, leaning on the shop counter, fingers tapping a leather sample. I want you to learn the trade. Close your stall for a while. Help me. If you do, I will know you mean it. My stall paid my sister's rent. My hands moved quick for small money. I thought of my sister's light in the room when the rent was paid. I thought of the ring on my finger that wanted to be gold. I closed the stall for a week. I learned stitches, how to mark the line for a cut, how to hold a hammer without hitting my thumb. My fingers hurt. My sister called and asked about the money. Soon, I lied. I wanted more than coins. I wanted the map he drew with the word promise. To Edith, he said, take a break from teaching. Help me at the shop. Learn patience. Edith did it like she believed it would make a poem. She told her head of department a story about a fellowship, packed 2 suitcases, and came every morning with a broom and a smile. I remember her counting boxes and humming old poems to herself. She said, "This will be a good story to tell my students when I come back." Her laugh had a crack in it. Sometimes she would read to me at the back of the shop and then stare at the empty classroom in her head. "Are you sure?" I asked her once when she poured tea from a chipped pot. "For what?" she asked. "For leaving." "For holding out for something true," she said. Her voice tried to sound brave. I saw she was afraid. Ella's test came like a paper that could harden into a chain. "Move in with me for 3 months," he said. "Let me see how we live. If I can trust you in the small rooms, I can trust you in a house." Ella had sticky notes on her mirror. She liked lists, plans, phone calls to her mother every day. She had been waiting years for a small promotion at the bank. She refused it. "I will wait," she told her manager, and her manager blinked and looked sad. Ella moved boxes into William's flat, folded shirts, fed his cat. She told herself it was a test of commitment. At night, she wrote the things she feared on paper and folded them into her purse like prayer. Lucy's test was the sharpest. "Stop asking for donations for a while," he said. "Show me you can work without applause." Lucy ran a small charity, a place for children to learn to read and mend torn clothes. She begged and patched and walked miles for small coins. She saved for a roof repair. When he told her this, she stopped asking donors for 3 months. She paid for pencils with her own money, gave up roof savings. She patched a boy's shoe and felt the cold when she counted coins. And her eyes were tired like a lamp that used too much oil. Each test asked us to give parts of our life now for a promise later. We traded things because we believed in the promise. We told jokes to each other. We said, "We are chosen." We compared notes like children who had found treasure. But inside, the trade had teeth. Edith missed the smell of chalk dust and the small faces in her classroom. Ella missed the sense of being wanted in her work. Lucy lost a few months of roof money. I missed the small pots my sister loved. We stitched our sacrifices into our days and called it love. We thought the tests would make the promise true. We thought pain would turn into home. But Williams had a circle, a ring of men who liked to watch. I saw them slow, like vultures in a tree. There was Shady, loud and quick with words. There was Kunli, quiet but cold. There was Bayo, who always laughed like it was his duty. They met in bars, in clubs, and they told stories about the women they did not know were hearts. One night I wanted to see. I told myself I was buying leather. I told myself I would not stay, but the feet know when they are following a smell. I walked into a small bar where the light was thin and the voices were thick. They were already there, 3 men around a table, a bottle between them. Williams sat like a man waiting for applause. They spoke like men who traded women for stories. Williams tipped his head and told them about the tests. I put them through little things, he said. It shows who will break. It shows who will give up things for me. It's, he laughed, an experiment. My little show. A show, Kunla said. His smile was a thin line. What if they find out? Then it will be funny, Bayo said. Imagine. They will cry on my birthday, we will all laugh. I felt my mouth fill with water that would not come out. The air in the bar suddenly tasted like metal. I wanted to stand up and leave. I wanted to run to Edith, to Ella, to Lucy, and tell them to not give any more. But my legs were slow. I listened. Sheddy laughed loud. Which one wins, he asked. Bet. Bayo slapped the table. Edith will fold first. She is soft. Kunle shook his head. No, Ella, she likes lists. She will sign the paper. She will give up the job. They were not betting for money. They were betting for shame. They wanted to see which of us would bend the most. They wanted a story they could tell with wide hands and loud voices. For them, we were not people. We were material for jokes. Williams spoke about each of us like a man making notes. Edith will leave the classroom for the shop, he said. Ella will sign a letter refusing a promotion. Lucy will stop collecting funds. Jessy will close her stall for a week. He smiled and pointed at the screen of his phone. I have this app. It counts down to my 35th. I will invite them all to my birthday. We will see. His friends clapped. Brave man, Sheddy said, and his clapping had no warmth. I felt like a child hearing her name in a crowd of hunters. I left without making a sound. The rain met me and made my hair wet. I walked home with a small tremor, like a pulled string. When I returned to the shop, Williams kissed my cheek and asked, Everything okay? I smiled. My smile felt thin. Yes, I said. Once, I found a message on his phone meant for Sheddy that popped up right as he reached to grab it. The message read, Edith will quit. Lucy stopped appeals. Jessy closed market for a week. Countdown is moving. I held my breath like a child hiding a secret. I should have said something to someone. I should have told the others. But fear is a clever thief. It stole my words. I told myself it could be a mistake. I told myself men lie in small ways sometimes. I told myself I was wrong. And then the stupid, small thing happened that made the crack shout. It was a Tuesday. The shop had a slow afternoon and I was fixing a strap. Williams went to the back room for supplies and left his bag on the counter. His phone lay on top, screen bright. It buzzed. I told myself not to look. Curiosity is a small animal that does not leave quietly. A chat window popped open. The header read, Polygamy Countdown, Williams. My eyes jumped like a needle on a record. There, in bold, a list of names. Edith, task. Teaching leave, status complete. Ella, task. Sign non-promotion letter, status complete. Lucy, task. Pause fundraising, status complete. Jessy, task. Close stall, learn trade, status complete. Below the list, a new tab. Bets. Sheddy, Edith. Kunle, Ella. Bayo, Lucy. Williams, me, testing. There were photos attached. Screenshots of messages he had sent to each of us. Promises, love poems, plans. There was a small video file titled Birthday Show. Montage. My hands slowed. The shop's fluorescent light seemed too white. I could feel the inside of my skull like a drum. I wanted to throw the phone at the wall. I wanted to leave and wake up from a bad dream. I wanted to call the others and say, run. Instead, my fingers moved because something in me became very sharp. I opened the montage. It was short. It had pieces of his voice, soft and practiced, promising forever. It had short recordings he had sent. Edith, imagine poetry on our shelf. Ella, your name in my bank papers. Lucy, we'll volunteer together every Sunday. and then laughter that cracked into the boys' voices, clapping. The clip ended with a calendar circled, William's 35th. The countdown on the app read 21 days. I did something I did not plan. I did what anger often asks you to do first. I took screenshots. I copied files. I put the phone back as if it had never been opened. My hands shook so the leather sample flew a little. When he returned, he smiled and kissed my cheek. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yes," I said. My voice was thin. It sounded like paper. He did not notice the phone. He did not know I had seen his list. He did not know the way his words had built traps in our lives. He did not know I had a small, hard thing now that would not let me forget. I did not tell anyone that night. I cannot say why. Maybe I wanted proof I could hold. Maybe I wanted a plan. Maybe I was afraid of being laughed at, of being part of a story that others would call foolish. So I kept the screenshots in a hidden folder on my tiny phone, and I pretended to stitch leather without thinking. The next day at noon, I walked to Edith's little house. She was at the window sewing a torn sleeve. When she saw me, she ran a hand through her hair and smiled like someone waiting for sunlight. I could not keep the weight in my chest. I pushed the phone onto the table and showed her. She read. Her laugh failed in the middle and then turned into a sound I had never heard from her. A low, wet break. "He told me he wanted poems in the house," she said. "I made a list of readings for our mornings." "I saw the list," I said. "There's a file on his phone. He's got us in a game. Bets. A countdown." Edith's face changed. Her eyes narrowed. "Are you sure?" "Yes." I said the word like a stone. We went to Ella. She had a neat folder on her table and a pot of tea. Her hands shook when she took the phone. "I knew something," she said. "He told me to choose him. I was foolish." She looked like someone who had swallowed a regret and it had stuck in her throat. Lucy came last. She arrived with a child's cloth in her hand and the smell of soap on her sleeves. She sat, looked at the screenshots, and did not cry at first. Her face went steady hard like a shield. "If this is true," she said slowly, "we need to do something." We were 4 women in a small room, holding a man's secrets like a hot coal. The air was thick. There was a sound, somewhere between a sob and a laugh. It surprised me that for all our small sorrows, we could still find a little anger that was bright and clean. "We could go to him," Edith said. "We could ask him to stop. We could leave." "Leave?" Ella said. "Leave and tell what? People will think we fought over a man. They will pity us." Lucy's voice was low. "We should humiliate him. We should show the people who laughed how wrong they are." I looked at them. The small receipts I had kept felt like pennies now. The montage, the app, the bets, it was proof. It was also dangerous proof. If we used it, we could ruin him. We could ruin families. We could ruin business deals. But the thing inside me that had been tightening since the bar, since the shoes, since the message, it wanted justice more than it wanted peace. "We should bring him down on his birthday," I heard myself say. The words surprised me because they sounded like a plan. My heart beat fast. Invite everyone, family, friends, business people, we bring the evidence, we play the montage, we show them the app. Edith's face broke into a small, fierce smile. "Make him taste the laughter he fed them," she said. Ella's jaw set. "If we do this, we need to be clean. No lies, just the truth. We must not stoop." Lucy nodded. "We do it smart. No shouting, no hitting, proof, calm faces, and then leave. Let them think." We made a plan right there on Edith's kitchen table. Simple at first. Find more proof. Collect copies. Be certain. We told each other to bring what we had. On the morning of the party, William sent messages like a man who invented his own joy. "Big day," he wrote me, the same easy voice that had put the ring on my finger. The app in his phone, the Polygamy Countdown, blinked closer. 3 days. 2 days. 1 day. The venue for his birthday was a small hall near the coast, white-suited waiters, a draped table, a band. Williams liked things to look expensive. He wanted people who mattered to fawn at him. We used that. On the day, I walked in with Edith near my side. She had a small handbag with the printed messages tucked inside like a Bible. Ella came after us in a neat dress that made her shoulders look like the shoulders of a woman who had learned to hold herself. Lucy wore a calm face. Ella planted the bank copy with the hostess. She had a friend who worked as an assistant to the event planner. Lucy whispered instructions to Chinadu and the volunteers. "Be ready. stand in the aisle, nod when the montage plays. I tested the small stick in my hand and felt the weight of the proof. Walking in, I felt the look of 100 eyes. William stood in the center with a silver cake and a grin like before. His family were there, a mother with red beads, a sister I had met once with a hand over her mouth like she was already laughing. Shetty and the boys were there with their easy smiles. Business partners in neat shirts scanned the room like judges. Edith took a deep breath. She had arranged a small card with words. She walked to the stage as the band faded. "Williams wants to read a poem," she said into the small mic. "He asked me to read it for him. Please, a quiet moment." He smiled, pleased, and came to stand by her. I watched his face while the band stopped, and I saw the same old ease. He had no idea the kind of quiet we had practiced. He did not know the faces behind his crowd. Edith's voice was soft at first, then it grew. She read a poem about promises. Not about him directly, but the words fit like a new dress on a borrowed body. People applauded lightly. Then, at the place we chose, she stopped and said, "I have another reading, a truth I want to share." My heart beat loud enough I thought the whole room could hear. She motioned to me, and I stepped up with the small stick. My hands did not shake as much as I thought they would. I found the place where the montage file was. I plugged the stick into the hall's laptop. A friend had arranged for us to have access to the sound system under the pretense of a small projection of memories. The assistant gave me a look that meant nothing. He had been paid with a small favor from Ella's friend. I pressed play. The screen filled with William's voice first, soft and smooth, promising forever. Then the screenshots, the messages, the smiling faces he used to charm us. The video moved faster, then slower, cutting to the men's laughing faces in the bar. I saw Shetty slap the table in a clip I had never thought I would. The room went quiet. No one laughed. William's face lost color as the montage played. His friends tried first to smile, then to look away. The video ended with the app counting down, the numbers hitting 0 on his phone, and then a single still of the list of names. For a small second, the air stopped. I could hear the bandman breathe. The smell of the cake seemed to fade. William's mouth opened. He looked at me first. His eyes went wide and small, and then wild. People started to speak at once, whispers first, then louder voices asking what was happening. His mother rose and said, "Williams, what is this?" Her voice had the sharpness of a woman who had given a life to a son and did not want it traded for jokes. Shetty's face was red. Kunli turned away. Bayo's laugh was gone. Williams stood in the circle of his friends and family, and the look on his face was not of a man who had been caught. It was of a small boy who had been told the story he'd told was a lie. He began, but his words were small. He looked at the 4 of us standing there, at Edith with her poem paper, at Ella with her bank copy, at Lucy with Chianadu at her side, and at me with the stick still warm in my hand. The plan had worked. The sound of voices around us turned into a hum I did not yet understand. People were standing. Phones were out. "It's a mistake," he said. "It's not what you think." For a moment, I saw him looking at his friends, as if to expect one of them to clap and say, "It was a joke." No one did. The silence hung, heavy as a curtain. The countdown on his phone had reached 0, and whatever game he had planned had ended on the wrong side. I stood there and felt 1,000 small things tumbling. The lost coins, the signed paper, the roof leak, the stolen nights. The people around us waited for answers. William's family looked shocked. His business partners whispered in low voices. His friends' faces changed from loud to thin. We had done what we set out to do. We had gathered proof and shown it in front of the people who mattered to him. The room had the exact look we hoped for. Surprise, confusion, shame, but also a dangerous thing we could not predict. A question hanging in the air like smoke. "What happens now?" someone asked. I did not know the answer. We had lit the match. The rest, what would burn, what would survive, was not yet ours to see. I watched Williams. He opened his mouth again, quieter this time. "Jessy," he said, as if calling my name would bring me back to him. His voice was small and raw. I could feel the eyes of the whole room on me. I could feel my own heart beating like a drum. "Stop this," he said first, as if that would stop the projector. "This is a mistake. You don't know." "You told us to trust you," Edith said, and her voice did not shake. You told me to leave my job. You told Ella to sign away her chance. You told Lucy to stop her appeals. You told Jessy to shut her stall. Those were your words. Williams tried to step forward. Please, listen. He reached for my hand without thinking. I pulled back. Don't touch me, I said. I heard the coldness in my own voice. It surprised me because I had once wanted him to touch me like proof. He looked lost, like a boy who had played a dangerous game and didn't know why the rules had teeth. The next days were loud. Williams called us, first begging, then insulting, then apologizing. His words walked the same old circles. Williams' business fell. Contracts crumpled. The laughter he had lived for shrank. He tried to apologize to each woman. Some calls were short. Others were long enough to bleed. What happened to us, to me, Edith, Ella, and Lucy, was not only the public truth. It was also small, private repairs. Edith was offered to come back to the college because one lecturer who had been at the party felt bad. He spoke up, and the head of department asked Edith to come and teach again. Ella fought to get her job back. The bank had moved on, but one manager remembered her quiet strength. He met with her in private. Saria, you gave him a chance, he said, but we can't have this done to you. Ella was offered a position again, not the one she lost, but a role that would let her lead a team. She took it slowly. Money came into her account again, and at night she kept sticky notes that said simply, "This is your life." Lucy rebuilt the charity in parts. Donations returned when she told the story in plain words to people who trusted her. Chinedu helped, and the group of volunteers grew. And me, Jessy. I got my beads stall back. The market folk welcomed me back with warm food and smiles. I had a small fund now. Years later, I walked by Williams on a busy street. He looked up, then looked away. I did not stop. I had learned to keep my hands free of promises. I had learned to place my faith in work, in people who kept their word, and in the small box where women left notes for each other. We had taken a stage away from a man who thought life was his game. We had not taken his life. We had taken his show. And in taking that, we had taken something for ourselves too. Dignity that no app could count. The Polygamy Countdown ended on that stage, but the story we began went on. We told it again, not to revenge, but to teach. We taught our sisters to listen for real promises and to keep their receipts. We learned to count what mattered: truth, time, and the small, honest work of living.